and anyone who listens to this show for the last couple of years will know I'm really excited for Connor Zary to continue his journey. I really like this player. He's just so smart, and I think one really cool thing about him, he reminds me of you know the Backlund bump over the last few years, how a
Right.
lot of players have either been struggling and played well with Backlund or played well with Backlund and no one else, like Mangiapane, for instance. I had to throw that in there. Uh, or like, you know, Kachuk took a couple years to really hit his stride because, you know, and then he started playing with Backlund for a few years, and then he really hit his stride and became an elite player. I feel like that could be Zary's future role, and with a higher offensive upside,
Right.
because
God, I hope so.
I haven't seen a player he hasn't been able to play with. I don't know if you know what I mean, but like,
Yeah.
he's got chemistry with Pospisil, he's got chemistry with Kadri, he's got chemistry with Huberdeau, he's got chemistry with Sharangovich, he's got chemistry with Kuzmenko on the power play a couple times. Like, anyone that they've tried to play him with, even in the preseason, he played with Backlund and Coleman, and they had some chemistry. Like, anyone who he's played with, it might not be like, you know, that line pops off for several goals that game, but they always are around it and they're always buzzing.
That's one of the things, and I know you're I mean, this whole Zary thing from you is coming right out of left field. You've never spoke highly of him
I know,
before,
right?
so I'm not sure what to take from that. I know you've wanted him to be at center
Yeah.
For a bit now, and one of my hesitations, like I do understand your reason behind it, and I think he would do very well at it. But I think one of the things that makes him really good at what he does on the ice and how he fits well with other players is the fact that he's able to be the guy out at the hash marks in the corner, back to defense and moving around because
On the
he's very
boards.
crafty on the boards and setting up plays or taking the puck from a defender or just being in the right position. And I feel like putting him at center, we're going to lose some of that because his primary role is going to be in front of the net, behind the net, front of the net, behind the net. You know what I mean? And so I feel like it, as far as his creativity, I think it'll hinder him a little. I'm sure he'll find ways to make a liar out of me at the center position, but that's one of the things I've always appreciated of his game is how crafty he is, how he's able to get open in certain situations, or how he's able to become open with the puck. Right.
So
That's
to your point, one of my favorite qualities in the offensive zone of Zary's is his ability to attack off of the boards. You remember how rest in peace, Johnny Gaudreau used to always pull into the zone, get about on the boards about the hash mark area, but on at the boards, and then button hook, turn around, and try and make a play. Zary often does that, but instead of trying to make a play, he'll button hook and attack the net and throw everybody off. And I really enjoy that. And you're right, you'd lose that at center. But another one of the things that I really like about Zary is he often scores from rebounds, and he often scores from like quite literally his stick is behind the goalie because he's that close to the goalie, or the goalie's a fish out of water and he's the guy who's that close to the net. And that's
which is funny because he starts to play from the hash marks or the top of the circle, and then just all of a sudden he's like behind the goalie, in between the goalie and the net. It's like, where the hell did he come from?
Yeah, it's uncanny and it happens all the time, and I love it. I think this kid, like, I'm not gonna be here saying Connor Zary is gonna be the next fucking Matthew Tkachuk and just be a 100-point player every year and all that type of stuff. But I think that he can, in his future, starting this year even, I think he can push close to the point of game type of area and possibly stay there for quite a few years, for 5-8 years type of thing, and stay in that point of game range. But you don't have to be 110 point player to be effective. And the fact that he can jump up and down the lineup because he can play with anybody is really, really important too. I hope we keep this kid for a long time, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And also he's very responsible in our zone as well. Right. So I feel like he's going to be, obviously not, I'm not going to say he's going to be the same level, as Pasternak or even Lindholm as far as, defensive player. I think he has more offensive upside than Lindholm. But if he can become half of the defensive player as Lindholm while producing points, frig yeah, bring it on.
Absolutely.
That's
and I
super
think he
exciting
can.
to me. Yeah, I mean, I've for like midway through last year, I was thinking to myself that I could see him being between 70 and 85 points for a long time.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I have him in my brain. At least, not necessarily this year, but I think next year and moving forward, or potentially this year, right? He should make a bit of a jump from last year, and last year he had a pretty impressive season.
I'm interested to see because they seem pretty dead set on lining him up next to Backlund and Coleman, which again, that's where Tkachuk learned the ropes, right? Like, why the fuck not?
Exactly. I don't mind him learning from either one of those guys, right?
I don't mind either, right? At all.
They both play the game the right way.
I find it interesting that Sharon Govich's spot next to Kuzmenko and Kadri opened up, and they didn't move Zary up there. So I think maybe they might be focusing Zary on defense or like just strong two-way play this year, learning from those two guys. And it's funny because for a couple of years I've kind of projected Zary to be Vinny Trocheck-ish. No, I've said that a few times. I don't know if you remember, but I kind of find Coleman to be very similar to Vinny Trocheck as well. Underrated scoring ability, very good two ways, gets under the opponent's skin, can play multiple positions, relatively physical, right? And
tough as nails.
And that's the type of guy I see Zary being with a little bit more offense, right?